It's really felt so far in this transfer window that Man City have been sitting on their hands. Of course, with the court case and all the other stuff that's kind of floating around the club. Will this be Pep Guardiola's last season? Having just done 4 in a row, and all the noises out the club are talking about going for 5 in a row. We've all been kind of waiting for them to spring into action, it feels like, in this transfer window. And we've had 2 kind of pieces of breaking, developing news, or transfer rumours, however you want to think of it. One has a lot of legs in it, and that is the return of club legend and icon Silky Ilkay Gundogan back from Barcelona on what would be a free transfer. They're just wanting his wages off the books, but the rumour mill's been spinning that Kyogo Furuhashi of Celtic might be going to Man City. Where would you have seen that before? Because post Julian Alvarez leaving to Atletico Madrid, the Man City squad doesn't look as well covered, especially in the attacking areas. And if Man City are going to compete on all fronts for 4 competitions again this year, they need to make sure that they've got their ranks filled to the brim of elite world-class talent to keep up the level, to keep up the performances that they've been delivering under the last 4, 5, 6, for as long as we can think about at this point. City have been dominant for so long, and this 5 in a row campaign, I think Pep's taking it seriously. I think City are taking it seriously, and that's why they're just going for the people that fit the job best. In the video today, we'll be looking at the return of Silky Ilkay. What could Kyogo bring to Man City, as well as how's the squad shaping up, and what other pieces of business we may see permeate throughout the rest of Europe in the remainder of the transfer window. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We've just smashed through 10,000 subscribers. We're covering all the headline transfers across European and world football as we get set up for the biggest season of European football I think we've maybe ever had in the 24-25 season. And get into the comment section in this one and let me know, do you think City have the ability to reach their aspirations this year, do the 5 in a row, maybe pick up another couple of cups like they normally do along the way as well? Yeah, and let's just get stuck straight into it. The transfer strategy at Man City has been super consistent, but especially under Pep Guardiola. They only ever actually look to bring in players that have a genuine chance of enhancing the best 11. And although Man City have never really went out and spent £100 million plus on a player or anything like that, every player they bring in seems to be great bang for buck, great transfer packages, and ultimately do lift the entire level of the squad. And as we look at the standing of the squad at the moment, you'll maybe get a bit of a sense of what I was talking about in the intro, that post Julian Alvarez, like this attacking section here for City is very reliant on the fitness and the health of a couple of players, maybe 3 of them up here. But in defence, like Man City have got 2 options to every position, and really like picking the best 11, like you could argue about this all day really when it comes to the back 3. And in midfield, it does pretty much pick itself. But the second string are 100% the second string when it comes to the likes of Nunes, Rico Lewis, Grealish, and Savio. I think Savio could give Doku a good run for his money this season on the left more than the right, but with that bad injury to Oscar Bob, just for the general depth chart, this is how I'm going to lay it out. And then with guys like Cancelo, Perrone, Kabore, and McAtee still kind of floating around the club, maybe loans, maybe some transfers out, but maybe some guys that, maybe Cancelo doesn't leave, and then if he stays in the squad, like, they'll probably register him, and they might even get him to play some football once in a while. And having a guy like Cancelo that doesn't even break into the squad is just an unreal depth, and it really does feel that defensively, the two quality goalkeepers that they've got as well, that I wouldn't really worry too much about City deviating from the norm that they've had defensively in terms of their record, and equally like what these guys can offer in attack. I think Guardiola's on for a huge season this year. But when it comes to midfield, Rodri's obviously not came back from Euros for match day 1 of the Premier League this year, and Kovacic did seem to kind of like step into the breach, step into the void a little bit, be that experienced leader, controlling midfielder, and ultimately was decisive on the match himself. But Nunes and Lewis don't really seem to be breaking in. And Kovacic has been great. And Gundogan coming back in here is obviously a bit of a flashback Tuesday or throwback Tuesday or whatever it might be, seeing him back in here. But really, he's not missed a beat. He's been in Spain for a year. He played really well for the most part, but it's not as if like he's been out injured. There's been some sort of problems with him. And, the Barcelona intensity level and the fixture list is nowhere near as demanding as it is for Man City. And in the Premier League and on all competitions and all the rest of it. So it's not really been a year off for him, but it's definitely been a much quieter 23-24 for Ilkay Gundogan than it is for any of these other Man City players. So he'll probably come in, kind of with a bit of that point to prove they can still do it in the Premier League, but he'll probably have a bit of a pep in his step, excuse the pun. And I think we could see vintage Gundogan just walk straight back into this team. And really, it doesn't change too much in terms of still the deficiencies that there is further up the pitch. But Kovacic, much more than Nunes and Lewis, I think, could be a very capable deputy if Rodri, Gundogan, and these guys are going to rotate. And that's the kind of backbone, that's like the base of what City have been built on. And then from there, it's catching Haaland scoring all sorts of goals and then having just incredible support players like Julian Alvarez leaving is a big void, is a big gap that's been left here. Not just in terms of the goal contributions and the role he played in the starting 11 whenever other players were out and all the rest of it, but his actual work rate, his actual commitment to the cause, his ability to play the style of play that this forward department is asked to do a lot of pressing. Haaland may be moderately excluded, but they are all asked to take up very smart positions and try and cut off passing lanes and equally try and turn the ball over at every opportunity. Savio could have more of a role to play in terms of being versatile and filling into different gaps as the season goes on. Let's see how that goes. And Grealish did play a bit of pre-season like off of Haaland, kind of similar to the way De Bruyne does. So maybe there's a bit of versatility in his future as well. But it definitely does feel that this area's got a huge gaping chasm in it at the moment. And filling it with Kyogo Furuhashi would be an amazing addition for me. This guy is like a smaller but much faster Erling Haaland. And maybe, I don't know if he's much faster, but he's a whip. And, he does this job exactly the same as Haaland does. And maybe a wee bit more similar to Alvarez in the sense of the zest and the pep that he's got. And making the move from Celtic to City, Kyogo will be really happy to job share with Haaland, be, second in command. And it's not really a big problem or any big shakes. He's going to get the last 20 to 30 minutes of matches, maybe the last 10 minutes or whatever. Maybe some games, League Cups, and playing the bottom half of the table, he can start over Haaland and use that kind of rest and rotation. But there's not too many players around European football that have the proof in the pudding of they can do that job, they can take their chances, they can finish, and they have the batteries, they've got the engine in them to deliver this sort of output. And really, if this is Pep's last season, then getting a guy like Kyogo, who is like at the back end of his 20s at this point, a very known quantity. And let's be real, you'll need to give Celtic a good couple of quid, right? Because I said so. But relative terms to the European market, getting a player out of Scotland is going to be way cheaper than getting a Lautaro Martinez out of Inter, who wouldn't happen anyways. You signed a new contract there. But that's the sort of thing you would expect City to do normally. But I say maybe the deals just aren't there to be done. And I say there's not a big list of players that actually fit this role. And, I think it could happen. I could see it stylistically. Don't know if it actually will happen. Let's see it, because it's just, we've never really had a transfer like that in recent times where someone from Scotland, Celtic, has went straight into a top team. Virgil van Dijk obviously went to Southampton first. Matt O'Reilly is on his way to Brighton potentially before making a huge move to a team like City or one of the other teams at the top end of the league that I believe he eventually will. So it's maybe, this would be an outlier of a transfer and hopefully one for the better for Celtic's sake, because I would love us to sell more of our better players straight to the top table for as much money as possible so that we can do better in turn. But the thing with Kyogo is I don't think he can really offer any versatility similar to Alvarez did in really any other position. Kyogo is only, in this system especially, an arrowhead striker, the finisher, the guy that gets 3 touches a game, scores 2 goals. He's all about that in life. He can do that job, no problem. So there's maybe still a bit of business to be done in this midfield position here. Maybe Gundogan's maybe felt to be a bit of that as well. If Kovacic was to start and you could play him here instead of De Bruyne or something like that. That could work to an extent, of course. But I don't get the sense that City and Pep, if they are chasing 5 in a row, they do want to go far and deep and maybe win the Champions League again, never mind the couple of domestic cups, that they're going to leave that gap so void the way it is. Again, maybe Foden does offer a bit of relief in here as well, if you do have the likes of Savio being really pushing the levels and being first team capable. So maybe I'm underselling it a little bit, but it's just when I look at it, I feel that this is a huge void, and City will probably be my pick to win the league, but let's see how the rest of the transfer window shakes out, especially if they add another player in, especially if they manage to hang on to a few of these other players in purple that might even just boost the ranks a little bit deeper and make sure that really no matter what the situation is, they can rotate and keep the level as high as possible. And City, as I say, it feels like they've been sitting on their hands to this stage of the transfer window, but it feels like they're about to spring into life. We'll see Silky, Ilkay Gundogan come back in. We might see Kyogo make the short drive down from Glasgow, and then from there, City could take poise, could take stock and go out and get a high-level wonder kid, similar to the likes of Doku and Savio, but maybe someone who's a bit more central that can come in and fill that Alvarez role of being, you know, like the real Swiss Army knife support act player that can come in, fill in for anyone and give the shift required. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. On screen and now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this and get into the comment section. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one.